Hello, everyone. This is Jason Rogash. Yes, yes. This video today is going to be about Colin Kaepernick and why he can't really get a job in America as a football player, as a professional NFL player. There are 32 teams in the National Football League, and about half of them need a quarterback. Colin Kaepernick is an All-Pro. He has been to a Super Bowl. Was one throw away from winning a Super Bowl. He's been in NFC Championship games. His stats for 2016 on a fucking terrible 49ers team where he completed 59% of his passes, which is pretty good. Um, he threw for 2,241 yards. He had 16 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. And if you're not familiar with football, you want to be about 3-1 touchdown interception. He was 4-1. He also rushed. He also rushed for 468 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he averaged 5 yards a carry, which are excellent numbers for a quarterback. They're just really good numbers for a quarterback. And he's better than the Los Angeles Rams quarterback, the Buffalo Bills quarterback, the New York Giants quarterback, the Miami Dolphins, Arizona Cardinals, my team, the Chicago Bears, Mitch Trubisky jersey, rookie. By the way, thank you for the person who bought this jersey to me, for me. Better than the Minnesota Vikings quarterback, better than the Cleveland Browns quarterback, better than the Houston Texans quarterback. But he can't get a job, even as a backup. He recently went to Seattle, to the Seahawks, and Pete Carroll, and whether or not Pete Carroll was trying to help him or not, said they didn't sign him. They know where he's at, but they're not going to sign him because he's still a starter in the NFL. Like you wouldn't want a starter caliber quarterback as your backup, especially when you have a mobile quarterback like Russell Wilson who could perchance get hurt because he runs a lot. Whatever. I mean, it's just a silly argument. There's a real problem in American society when a guy who talks about social issues and is right about what he's talking about, police killing unarmed black men. I'm in a city right now that's dealing with this. There's this dash cam video just came out, and an unarmed black kid is walking away from the police, and he is shot several times. The recent stuff that's happened in Minnesota with the police officer who was found not guilty after unloading his gun inside of a car with a black man who had a license to legally carry a firearm, and told him that he had it in his car in front of his girlfriend and his girlfriend's baby. In the Michael Brown case in Missouri, in Ferguson, Missouri, where, by the way, I'm going to make a video about this later, but go and check out the documentary that was made about that. Michael Brown, the police lied and kept footage away that showed Michael Brown trading marijuana for Swisher Sweets or whatever those things are, the blunt wraps, with the supposed, and then left them at the store. That he traded the guy that was working at the store for. So when you see that video of Michael Brown going in and seemingly bullying the guy on the way out, and you're like, oh my God, this atrocious human being. In fact, he had made a trade earlier, and there's video of all of this, that he had made a trade for this, and he went back to pick up his stuff, and the guy didn't know, or whatever, the guy behind was a different guy working, and he just wanted his stuff, and he took it, and he walked out. So, and the cops hid that. And that was found later after the trial. The consensus was that Michael Brown was this thug and this monster, and in fact he had made a trade with somebody at this like a 7-Eleven, and was just taking his stuff. There's a problem in this country with police officers killing poor people and killing black men particularly. There just is. And Colin Kaepernick took a fucking political stand. Whether you agree with it or not, it's irrelevant. He took a stand socially he's a black man in America. Now you can say, oh, Colin Kaepernick's rich. Colin Kaepernick's a millionaire. But in fact he's an African American, and he took a stand for his people. Colin Kaepernick is a guy who takes his money, and he's a multimillionaire, takes his money and puts it into the community. He puts his money where his mouth is. He just does. He's socially conscious. He's an SJW, which people use as a pejorative. I think it's a great thing. I think wanting social justice how could that be wrong? How could that be a bad thing? And I always get that from Sam Harris supporters. People always say, oh, you're just an SJW. Goddamn right I am. Social justice is important. Injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. And Colin Kaepernick has stood up against, he took a knee for the national anthem. Go look at the second part of the national anthem. It's a racist song. And it's jingoistic, and it has bombs in it, and it represents a lot of bad things about our country. It represents the worst things about our country. I'm sorry if you're a veteran and you don't like this. I'm sorry if you're part of the war machine. I'm sorry if you've let the Pentagon convince you through flag worship ceremonies. But by the way, if you're interested, on my channel, I have videos of how the Pentagon paid for flag worship ceremonies at halftime of football games, seventh inning stretches, hockey games, basketball games. How they paid the Pentagon. It wasn't organic from the stadium, or wasn't organic from the city, or wasn't organic from the team, but how the Pentagon paid for, troops to come, and those reunited things with their family. The family standing out in the middle of the field, and then the troop guy comes behind them, and they're reunited. That's all paid for. It's all propaganda. If patriotism is such a good thing, if the war machine is such a good thing, why do they have to propagandize us? Why do they have to take our tax dollars, which, by the way, $6 out of every 10 that you pay to the federal government is used for the military? If that's such a good thing, why do they have to propagandize and lie to us and keep this going? Colin Kaepernick has taken a stand, taken a knee. He's done the right thing. I've been to a couple of baseball games now, and I hate the national anthem. And if I watch everybody in the stadium stand up for the national anthem and applaud this capitalistic, military-industrial, jingoistic idea of what America is. Aggressive foreign policy, 1,000 military bases all over the world. The prime of people's youths being taken and killed. Genocide of people all over the world. Lies about getting into war, the war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan. Lies about Vietnam, 3 million Vietnamese. 3 million Vietnamese were killed. We cry for the 50,000 Americans that were killed plus, but the 3 million Vietnamese that were killed, they don't get a day. They don't get a day of remembrance. They don't get a Veterans Day. They're not remembered. It's propaganda. You're being propagandized to. I don't want to say that if you're a patriot, you're a sucker, because patriotism is just a form of tribalism, and tribalism only leads to war. Tribalism only leads to fascism. Tribalism only leads to fighting the other, blaming the other, which is what fascism essentially is. You're seeing it now with the blaming Muslims being killed, people, the homeless, the mentally ill homeless guy on the train in Oregon, in Portland, stabbing those two guys who stood up for the two girls who the guy yelled and said, "Go back to your country." One was a veteran. You're seeing these wounded warrior projects come back. You see how we treat the soldiers who come back and how badly they're treated. They don't get the medical coverage they need. They don't get the social coverage. They don't get the mental coverage they need, the mental help they need to get over these things. We treat our soldiers disposably. We talk a good game, but we don't invest the money. You saw that with Walter Reed in Washington, the total lack of, basic paint on the walls, unsanitary rooms, and how our soldiers are treated even after they come home. What are they fighting for? They're fighting for the promotion of capitalism. That's what you're fighting for in war. If your country is attacked by another country, I would be the first one to fight. I'd be the first one to get a gun and go. I'd be the first one, but that never happens. That's not what's happening. That's not what happened in 9/11. That's not what happened in Vietnam. That's not what happened about Afghanistan. Our country doesn't get attacked, but we attack other countries. We do regime change in over 79 countries. We've done either regime change or since roughly World War II, 79 countries. There's 190 some countries in the world, 79 countries that America has either done regime change, overthrown, propaganda against, whatever. It's for capitalism. It's why America is the war machine behind the International Monetary Fund, the World Bank, what they call what do they refer to them as, the Russian word for the three banking systems over in Europe. America is the predominant force behind that. People like Christine Legrand and all these monsters who are bankers and put countries into debt so we can get them to privatize their natural resources and eliminate social programs, and we can manipulate their labor forces. We can turn China into a manufacturing base for the United States because of cheap labor. That's what America is. We can keep this these war stands since the Korean War and again, killing people in Laos and Cambodia. Henry Kissinger still being able to walk around free as a free man. Dick Cheney still being a free human being. George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama. This monster that we have as a president now, this idiot, this fucking rich kid psychopath, orange fucking fascist piece of shit, Donald Trump. That's what you're standing up for at the Cubs games or the Bears games or the Sox games or whatever game or any football, baseball, basketball, hockey games. You're standing up for that. You're not standing up for anything good. You're standing up for tribalism. And tribalism leads to fascism, and fascism leads to what we're heading towards now. And Colin Kaepernick can't get a job because he's pointing these things out. He's taking a social justice stand. There's something wrong with this country. John Mara, who owns the New York Giants, which by the way is just a rich kid who inherited a team, he has said he's gotten more phone calls about the Colin Kaepernick situation than any other in his entire career at owning the Giants. What? Who is calling the New York Giants? Because the Giants have no interest in signing Colin Kaepernick, would never sign Colin Kaepernick. Who would call up the New York Giants and complain about Colin Kaepernick? There is something wrong with their country. Do you think those same people are calling up their representatives or their senators or getting involved socially or talking to their state legislature or state representative or local judge, trying to get certain judges elected or running for anything, and they're anything? So no, they're going to complain about Colin Kaepernick because because he took a fucking knee for the fucking flag, for a flag worship ceremony. That's largely, I'm not saying that the national anthem is paid for, because that's now, when the 90s, they didn't do the national anthem before every fucking thing. Now, every fucking public event, you have to take your hat off, stand up in front of that dumb ass flag, a piece of cloth that means nothing. It's tribalism. It's propaganda to get you to believe in the military industrial complex and believe in empire and continue this ridiculous system that's killing us all. It's crushing us. And that's what you're supporting when you stand up. When I watch 30,000, 40,000 people stand up in a stadium and sing God Bless America, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Have we lost our way so fully that we're not even going to hold our own country accountable? The country we live in, the country that's stealing money from us, the country that's taking our children and turning them into fodder for corporations and empire? The military in this country, we spend $600 billion a year, almost $700 billion, and when you do all the supplemental packages that come out through the year, it's $1 trillion. The Pentagon stole $7 trillion from you. You. 7 trillion, me. They stole 7 trillion of our money. And they'll never be held accountable because they have the guns. Go Google it. You can't go in and arrest any generals. You can't go because they have the guns. What's might is right, and that's the American Empire, and that's how the American Empire works. And you can compare it to the Roman Empire, but we're so far past what the Roman Empire was, it's laughable. And essentially, I don't want to get into this, but the Roman Empire became the British Empire, and the British Empire essentially became the American Empire. This is Anglo-Saxon nightmare, and it just continues and continues and continues. And every time you stand up for the flag, and every time you don't take a stand, and every time you become a sucker for patriotism, you become a sucker for tribalism, and you are justifying the continuation of a system that is wholly corrupt, broken, destructive, horrible, and awful. And the fact that a guy like Colin Kaepernick, who comes out and does the right thing, he says the right thing, he tells the truth, he takes a stand, can't even get a job as a backup in the National Football League, there is something wrong with our country. There is something deeply, 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 deeply flawed. And that should just be another reason you don't stand for the flag. And it should be another reason why you don't believe in this system and you continue to support it. When I see a guy like Joe Mixon who can get a job as a second-round draft choice after knocking a girl out and almost killing her. He just gets a job, second-round draft choice for the Cincinnati Bengals. Or third round. Was he second or third round? I can't remember now. But he gets a job. When a guy like Rob Gronkowski, for a roast, go watch this roast that he did for Big Papi. They didn't even show it. It was supposed to be on TV, and they decided not to show it on television because it was so offensive. He can say anything he wants about women and Jews and anything he wants. That big Neanderthal white guy can say whatever he wants to about minorities in our society, and women aren't even a minority, but he can say whatever the fuck he wants to and do whatever the fuck he wants to. He's still, we love Gronk. But Colin Kaepernick takes the right stand, does the right thing, says the right thing, and he gets blackballed from the NFL, and he may find a team. Some point, I hope before training camp, somebody lets him in, but I don't think it'll happen. I hope I'm wrong. I pray I'm wrong. But nobody wants the controversy because the NFL's a business after all, and blah, 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 blah. When the NFL is predominantly black, when the NFL is predominantly young African-American kids from terrible economic areas who white people come in and coaches come in and take them from these areas and make them football players and then put them in Division I schools and all that. We know the whole, it's a slavery system essentially without it being, in shackles. That's the difference. Well-paid slaves, high-paid slaves. And there are a lot of socially conscious football players, and I applaud them, Michael Bennett being one of them. Martellus Bennett being another one. They're brothers. There are others. A lot of socially conscious basketball players, but not enough. And I think if I wish the NFL players were stronger. I wish the union was stronger. I wish they would give a shit a little more. But whatever. It is what it is. My video, for some reason, took a shit at the end of that video, but I liked that video, so I wanted to leave it up. I just wanted to say thank you for listening. And again, Colin Kaepernick getting blackballed and these other people not being held accountable for what they're doing, and Colin Kaepernick doing the right thing but getting blackballed, to me is just criminal. It's another reason why this country is a culture in decline. It's why we're failing, and it's ridiculous. Thank you for listening, and again, support Colin Kaepernick. Go buy his Niners jersey. Talk about it on social media. Ask that he gets a chance to at least play in the National Football League, and think about what I'm saying rather than just reacting like some kind of fucking patriotic goon. Really think, am I right or am I wrong? Thank you for listening.